I promise I'm going to say positive things about the amazing digital circus. I promise you, I'm looking directly into the lens. I am promising you. I want to give my begrudging compliments to the amazing digital circus, because if you didn't see my questionable live stream on the topic, I tried to watch it live. I thought it would be a fun idea to watch it live and sort of react to the whole thing. I didn't connect with it. I'll leave it there. I also didn't want to criticize it. For one thing, because it's a pilot. It's basically a proof of concept. It should not be treated as a completely finished product, at least in my opinion. But also because this is a net positive all around, and I can't act like it's not. So I'm going to share with you 4, 5, maybe 5 whole compliments that I have for Amazing Digital Circus, despite the fact that I don't really enjoy it. Number 1, the character designs are just fantastic. It's such a specific skill set. It's a really particular talent, I think, character design. There's never a sure bet, basically. You could have incredible skills when it comes to character design, but that doesn't mean that your style will fit, that it will be something that people really respond to. And no matter how much research you want to do, no matter which AI you want to consult as to what is going to be popular next, or even in the current moment, you just can't. You can't predict it at all. And while I do think that other aspects of this pilot have been made to fit current tastes, the character designs is something that you just feel the creativity of it. You feel the creativity and you feel the impact. Jax is probably the most obvious example of just fun, solid character design. It's a great look, and it's a very good match for the merch as well, which I think they've recognized. I think there's quite a bit of Jax merch already, as well as fan art, but we don't need to talk about that. Number 2, I think the show's writing, tone, and theming are incredibly well attuned to internet tastes. So something that I said over and over again in that stream was that the show felt very Tumblr to me. And to give that a little bit of context, what I mean by that really is its feel, its vibe, and its content remind me of a previous iteration of the internet, one that I was very active on in my younger days, and which I still associate with certain internet communities today, despite the fact that Tumblr itself has just I think they banned color recently. It's just a grayscale website at this point. Certain tastes for one thing, there are just so many ingredients here that the internet continues to gobble up whenever they get their hands on it. For example, the juxtaposition of like apparent cutesiness with much darker, more serious stuff under the hood. We have just very clear aesthetic influence from Vaporwave. And we also just have references. Obviously, references are a big component of certain corners of the internet and certain forums and social media sites that I don't need to name. They just put either direct or indirect references into this pilot. So, a direct thing, citing a specific property or idea or story trope, but also indirect references in the sense of like, that's like a meme that I've seen before, or that's like a particular comedy beat that I've seen in tons of other videos online. You know what I mean?
You completely lose sight of who you are and why you're even alive, and when you reach your breaking point, something really terrible can happen.
With all this love in my brain, I forgot to feed them. It's almost as though I've lost my mind.
So, and probably many other ingredients that I just can't even think of right now that are so well tailored to what the internet is already into. So whereas I was just talking about how you can never predict what character design is going to click with people and what won't, I do think that in terms of the types of content you're spinning here, you can get a pretty good idea of what the internet or even just like your target demographic is really going to respond to. And that's exactly what they put into it. They knew exactly who they were trying to reach, and they inserted things that those people happen to like. It's not rocket science, but it's also not something that's done very often. And when it is done, it is rarely done this well. It seems to me that they're just doing merch right now and not crowdfunding for actually getting the show picked up, and to produce a whole series. At least based on what I've seen so far. If that's not true, then just nullify this compliment completely. But as based on my experience with it, and even just in the description of the pilot, they just say, hey, here's merch. If you want to support us, please buy some stuff on the website. Like, that would be great. Not the norm. Certainly not the norm for independent animation, where you have tons of crowdfunded projects over here, or projects that rely entirely on, free labor on the part of fans, such as the reanimation collaboration projects that we've seen in the last few years. I'm getting tired of crowdfunding, and I do think crowdfunding has been abused in a lot of different creative projects. So at least for now, I'm happy to see that they're trying to get their money elsewhere. Number 4, this is an original project in just the very literal sense. I'm not talking about influence. I am not talking about styles, just in the fact that it is new characters out of nowhere and doing new things. That's enough. Previously, I think I've done a bad job of not being as appreciative as I should have been for original projects just being original. The big example I can think of is Centaur World over on Netflix, where my initial reaction was very poor, and it was focused just on my reaction to the show itself. So it was honest, but at the same time, much later, I changed my tune not only because, but largely because I don't think that it adds a lot of value to the discussion for me to heavily criticize something completely original when elsewhere in plenty of other videos I'm talking about how badly I want originality. Like, just because someone else's ideas for an original project are different than what I happen to like, that is absolutely no reason for me to go after them. Even, despite my minimal impact on animation as a whole, I still don't feel good about that. And here too, even more so than Centaur World, this just really isn't for me, The Amazing Digital Circus. But it's not worth it. It's not worth it for me to act like that matters. I can't pretend that my preferences are something worth really banging on about, when the core of this, its inherent originality, is something I appreciate, it's something I want, it's something I want to see more of. Good job. And the final compliment I have to share, I don't know, I think other people have been maybe overconfident in videos talking about how, like, this is the dawn of the new era for independent animation. I will say it could be. I will say as my final compliment that hopefully Amazing Digital Circus paves the way for other indie animators to produce something of their own that can be financially viable. I do not think at all that it's a sure thing. I don't think that automatically now people are more receptive to independent animation, or that it's more likely to succeed or get the views on YouTube. Not at all. There have been, some incredibly successful independent projects. Big Top Burger, I think that's the name, right? Lackadaisy, I think, reached its funding easily. But I'm pretty sure all of those cases, and certainly in the case of Amazing Digital Circus, again, these are not people with zero resources and zero experience. There is plenty of wind at their backs. We can't act like this means that absolutely anybody can make something incredibly successful and just ride off that success and make a ton of money. That's just not how it works. An incredibly small number of projects and artists who actually get a lot of attention and can make it a viable career. So again, I hope that this means there are better chances for independent animators to do stuff of their own and to continue doing their work. It's not a sure thing. Absolutely not. If 5 years from now we do see an even more incredible number of successful independent animation projects, then yes, then Amazing Digital Circus has absolutely earned this compliment. Then they did indeed play a big part in this becoming more of a thing. But that brings us to the end. Thank you so much for sticking around for the entire video. I appreciate it incredibly. That's all for now. Thanks for stopping by.